What is up, Moto World? Guess what I'm on? The Livewire S2 Del Mar. Flip here, and I got a little conversation I was going to have with y'all. So the Moto famous Zach Kortz is going to be reviewing the S2 Del Mar for his daily rider. And I thought, why don't we try and predict what he's going to say about the thing. I'm coming up on 1,000 miles, and who knows how long he'll have been riding the bike. He usually rides them for like a week, and at about 15 to 20 miles a clip. Sometimes he does extra rides on them. But let's call it under a couple hundred, right? Maybe 200, 300 miles would be a typical mileage for a review, right? Well, hey, I almost got 1,000 miles, so I got a little bit more insight into the bike. And also, I paid full price for it. He's not paying full price. So guess what? Some of my stuff might turn into a little bit of a rant because, I'm still kind of 50-50 on this bike, and I'm not doing a full review. It's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing here is just going to predict what good old Zach's going to say about the bike. And what does he do? He usually walks up and he says, "Howdy, people." And he's got his little folksome giggle. I'm not going to giggle for you. I can't giggle like him. And probably call it handsome, right? It is a handsome bike, especially on the blue. The gray, not so much. I feel like it looks a little cheap. But yeah, it's a handsome bike. It's well put together. The build quality is top-notch. That's one nice thing about buying, at full price is like you get a really, really nice bike. All the cords, everything's all cinched up nice and tight. All of the look, fit, feel, finish is all high end. And you would expect that from Harley. Then maybe he might mention why the dirt tracker format. And honestly, I want to find out what his insight is about that because I'm still not sure why they chose the dirt tracker to do their second, more affordable electric EV bike. But I know I bought it because it's lighter weight. So he'll probably talk about the specs, the cool dash. Here's the one thing everyone's going to sing praises about is the 260 pounds of torque is obviously the highlight of the bike. So he's going to mention that, and you just can't get over the fact that this bike just has incredible torque. I mean, it's like a rocket ship at any speed. And so what else might he talk about? It's got blinkers. He always mentions blinkers. And these blinkers are interesting in the fact that they're kind of always on, like drive lights in the front, and then in the back, the blinkers and the brake light are integrated into the blinkers. So when you put the brake on, both blinkers show red. And then when you turn the blinkers on, I think they show amber. And it's just an interesting setup. I don't know if other Harleys are like that, so whatever. He'll probably mention the controls and all of the integration within the dashboard and the fact that, your phone and your headset all connect together and you can do directions using their app and you can do your different music. I don't have anything going on right now because I'm talking, but you can do all this stuff and the map will bring up like different charge points and things like that, and you can program it and you can control your music and you don't have to touch your headset at all to do anything with it. It's kind of nice. Got cruise control. And then the other thing, and this is going to lead me into the rant status, is one of the awesome parts about this bike is the modes. There is probably more modes on this bike than any bike I've had. This one is very interesting, and I can't do it while riding it, but it has 7 modes, essentially, and 2 of those are customizable with almost unlimited amounts of variables that you can use for engine braking / regeneration, power, which is normal. A lot of bikes have that, where rain mode, track mode, road mode, they'll have like different power levels. This one, you have a 0 to 100 and anything in between you can customize. And then the big one is you can actually control the throttle mapping. I don't know if mapping is quite the right word, but how much difference the twist of the throttle makes on how much power it delivers. And being able to dial in the amount of power it delivers at different points of what the throttle is, it becomes sort of very customizable bike on how you want to ride it. Now, that leads me into a rant. The start button is not your typical kill switch. It's got a little flipper on it, and they make it easy to turn off accidentally. Why? Well, because the mode button is up here with your finger, and then the music controls are here, and the throttle is so sensitive, doing any one of these things makes you go back and forth on the bike a little bit. And then the modes are so different that when you change the modes, the bike significantly will like lurch or pull forward, or the mapping on all of a sudden it'll take off because the mapping on the throttle is different. I guess it makes it interesting because it's just an EV bike and people talk about how it's a boring platform, but the fact that just the modes alone keep your commute pretty interesting. And then lastly, he's probably going to talk about the poor range, right? You're not going to buy this bike if you need to go anywhere more than 80 miles a day or 160 miles in like a 12-hour period or more because of the lengthy charge time and the poor mileage. And the reason the mileage is not 100, like it says here, is because the more fun you have on this bike, the less mileage you get. And that's kind of a inherent flaw in the EV bikes, especially a naked bike that doesn't have any wind protection or aerodynamic. So, it's a real mixed bag on this range, and it doesn't bother me because I actually bought it for what it's supposed to be being used for, or at least in my mind, what it's supposed to be being used for, which is commuting to work, 3, 4, 5 times a week, depending on how busy we are and how much I go into the office. And that's really, I'm interested on his take, because honestly, if you have more than a 60 or 80 miles a day, you don't want this bike. It's too limiting. So I predict he'll have a long, lengthy conversation with you all, the viewers. I don't know. Lastly, I think he's going to be sort of, just, it's a complex question. Is this bike worth the price? And I think he's probably going to arrive to no. And I'm going to predict he puts it towards the bottom of the list. Because even though the versatility of the bike, the torque, the fun, the convenience, the map being built in and the music and like the fit and finish being really high and just generally a hoot to ride, especially in flat track mode, it's not really, it just feels more like a toy than it does a bike that you can, you're not going to, you want freedom, right? A lot of us ride because we want the freedom, and this bike doesn't have that freedom. It's got freedom to be fast as shit and lane split like a mofo and get to where you're going in silence, like that's awesome. But if you want to just get up and ride for a few hours and then hit the back country, and it doesn't have that. So does the price match the value? Not really. I'd say this bike should be in between the 10 and 12 is probably where its sweet spot is. That extra $5,000 that you're essentially paying to get this bike, man, it's windy out. The extra $5,000 you're paying to be an early adopter or just to have that massive amount of torque, I mean, some people like that. I took a chance. I like it, but I definitely don't think it's, worth the price, I guess. I could have probably had just as much fun on a $12,000 DR0. So, well, thanks for tuning in and listening to my prediction of the almighty Zach Quartz, and I hope you all have a fantastic day. Flip out.